For the three-way bench hip mobilization, begin with your back foot placed on a bench with your knee directly underneath it. Place your other leg out in front, and then begin a sequence where you first drop into a Spider-Man stretch, holding it for 2 seconds. Come up into a rotation across the forward leg, and then finally reach up overhead to engage the lats and make sure to maintain a neutral spine. The objective here is to open up the tight hip flexors as well as the quad on the back leg. You can see the dropping in on the Spider-Man, a controlled rotation over the front leg, blocking the lead knee to make sure it doesn't open up, and then paying special attention to not increasing the lordotic arch in the lower back as you reach the lats up overhead to finish off the stretch. For the single leg hip bridge, begin with the bottom of your shoulder blades placed lying across a bench with one leg positioned out in front of you so the knee is bent at 90 degrees. Lift the other foot off the ground and simply hinge at the hips as you drive the working leg down into the ground, emphasizing pushing through the heel, and raise up until your body forms a flat line. For the mini band high knee march, take a mini band and place it over the insteps and underneath the soles of the feet. Next, from a standing position, begin by driving one knee up, emphasizing hip flexion as you push the opposing leg down into the ground to offer support. Make sure to keep the toes up on the working leg and attempt to get the knee up in line with the hip, making sure that you don't lose any ground by having the mini band pull the leg down once it's in the elevated position. With the active isolated pec stretch, begin with your forearms placed on a door frame as you lean in until you feel an initial stretch across the chest. Once there, contract the muscles of your upper back by pinching your shoulder blades together and lift your forearms a couple of inches away from the wall, now leaning into the new stretch that's formed. Release after 2 seconds and continue to repeat the procedure, trying to get a little bigger each time, making sure not to overstretch. For the classic TRX row, begin with the TRX hooked up to a sturdy overhead anchoring point. From there, walk your feet forward until you have enough resistance, and then emphasize pulling with the upper back by bringing the shoulder blades together and down so that the chest sits out prominently towards the anchoring point. Remember that the arms are just helping out, most of the focus is on the upper back. For the lateral shift, position yourself so your feet are about double shoulders width apart with your toes pointing straight ahead. Next, bend down, place your hands on the ground, and slowly walk from one side to the other, keeping the hips as low as you can, making sure that the feet and knees remain pointed straight ahead. Weight the heel as you stick the butt out and stick the chest out in front of you so you feel a stretch in the groin. For the mini band abduction, begin with a mini band placed around your ankles. Then balance on one leg and keeping both feet pointed straight ahead, abduct the leg as you take it out about 45 degrees away from the body. A slight hold when you get it to the furthest point, and control the leg back in. For the crossbody skater's adduction, begin with one leg attached to a low pulley as you stand out a few feet from the machine. Begin by driving from a squat position into the leg that's supporting on the ground as you pull the other leg up and across the front of the body, working the adductors as well as the hip flexors. With the band lat stretch, hook a resistance band up to a sturdy anchoring point. Then thread your hand through the band and lean your weight back until you feel a good stretch in the lats. From there, simply drive the shoulder blade down towards the hip to contract the lat for a second or two, allowing the band to open it up into a deeper stretch. Repeat the sequence several times. For the high kneeling kettlebell press, adopt a high kneeling position, holding a kettlebell in the same side arm as the leg that's on the ground. From here, maintain a nice tall torso as you press that arm up, getting a nice full extension to a neutral grip shoulder press, making sure not to accentuate the arch in the lower back as you press up. Maintain core neutral to get a great stretch in the hip flexor as well as the lat. For our final exercise, the scapular pull-up, begin at the bottom of a pull-up and simply raise up by just bringing the shoulder blades together and down. We're not trying to bend the arms at all here. We're just trying to use the muscles of the upper back to slightly elevate and then come back down to the bottom position.